Hey guys, welcome back to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're going to be taking a look at a Zeri top build. So this is the build literally just copy pasted from the second ranked Zeri How to Win. But basically this is going to be a RIFTMAKER Zeri build. And it has basically all of the Zeri components that you would normally find. So of course we're gonna start off with Gluttonous Greaves, AD and Omnivamp. Then basically best first item is of course gonna be Bloodthirster. Bloodthirster gives you of course the physical vamp as well as just all that huge AD at the very beginning. And then very standard Zeri item that I love to build myself, Runan's Hurricane. Of course, the Runan's allows you to not only attack 3 people at the same time, but also allows you to not get blocked by enemy frontline, which of course with Zeri, you can only attack the first target, same with the Graves problem. With Runan's, you can attack other people. Of course, Runan's also gives you a little bit of on hit as well as that extra AD and attack speed. So now is where we get into the interesting portion. So normally here is where you would go for other crit items like IE, and of course like more reminder or even other attack speed items like Charge Blade, things like that. But here instead of that, what we're actually going for is we're actually going for RIFTMAKER as our next item. So now RIFTMAKER has always been a good item on Zeri. The main issue with RIFTMAKER is just the fact that you never really have a good position to put RIFTMAKER in terms of your build, because as I mentioned, with RIFTMAKER in your build as well as Runans in your build, you're not gonna hit 100% crit. So this build really focuses not on 100% crit, but just putting in good Zeri items, right? Like Bloodthirster, good Zeri item, Runans, good Zeri item, RIFTMAKER, good Zeri item, right? So here, with RIFTMAKER, you are going to get decent stat line. Of course, Zeri scales with AP as well, so AP is going to benefit her. You get a bit of tankiness with the health, and we get the penetration, ability haste. Of course, Omnivamp is huge for Zeri. So with this build, you have so much healing, right? You have healing from the Gluttonous Greaves, from the Bloodthirster, and also from the RIFTMAKER. So a ton of healing with this build. And of course, the Void Corruption passive is really the best part of it, where, of course, when you're in combat for a while, you are going to be starting to deal true damage. And with Zeri, you are in combat for a long duration. So after you stack it up, after the initial 3 seconds, you're going to be dealing just a lot of extra damage on your auto attacks for the rest of the fight. And then we of course have our Moral Reminder for the Armor Pen and the Grievous Wounds. Of course, still the best armor penetration option whether or not you care about the crit portion. And then last item is going to be defensive option. Now, the top builder has, of course, put the Guardian Angel here. Although I generally I haven't built Guardian Angel in like months, honestly. But Guardian Angel, of course, can work. Other items can work as well, like Shield Bow, like Maw, all these items like that. And then for the runes, you go for Lethal Tempo for the attack speed and the attack range. Brutal because your auto attack a ton is in ADC. Giant Slayer just to counter the tanks. And he has gone for a Legend Alacrity, but I actually personally like Bloodline because I don't really think Alacrity is all that helpful because you already have enough attack speed from Runans, and any extra attack speed is going to get converted into attack damage, which some people like. Same as on Jhin, right? Some people like converting the attack speed to AD, but I personally like to just get more Omnivamp. Although we do have a lot of it already in the build, you can never have too much. But I guess that's why people go for Alacrity, right? So kind of a choice between which one you want. And then of course we have Bone Plating for the defensive capabilities, and finally we have Ghost as well as Flash for our summoner spells, to no one's surprise. But with that said, let's take a look at our gameplay. Alright, now moving on to the gameplay, and of course wishing everyone a happy year. I believe that this video should come out on New Year's Day or thereabouts, but we're hopping into the game. So here we are paired with a Milio, and personally I think the best supports for Zeri has to be like Yuumi and Lulu, but Milio coming in at close third. The extra range you get from Milio is really helpful, of course, and just any enchanter for Zeri is just amazing. Of course, Zeri in theory is not really reliant on a support, but of course there are better choices they can have. Like I've played Zeri with like Leona and like Engagers before, but I think of course Zeri is just far superior with an enchanter to buff you. I mean, obviously, right? A lot of ADCs are just great with enchanters to buff you, right? So here we are against a very dangerous Kai'Sa-Leona combo. I say dangerous because if Leona gets off a good engage, Kai'Sa can of course follow up, and that it could become very sticky of a situation very fast. However, thankfully Leona has not actually done anything yet aside from getting poked by me a little bit. And we are just happily farming here. Nothing too much else is going on. Leona finally steps up to engage, but I'm not quite sure if she thought I would flash or whatnot. But here we get into a full-on all-in, right? We're trying to blast Kaisa, but unfortunately Leona is body blocking, so the supports end up fighting. I flash forward and manage to kill Kaisa right before she gets to the fruit. Milio dies to Leona though. However, here I'm able to escape Leona just based on the fact that I'm Zeri. Now, I say this in so many of my Zeri videos. I'm not sure why this always happens, but I feel that if I was not Zeri there, I feel if I was anyone else, if I was like an Ashe, if I was like a Kaisa, I just would have died right there because Zeri can hop over the walls with her E, and I think that's just OP, to be very honest, right? Like, if I was any other ADC there, I think Leona just slowly but surely runs me down before I reach the tower, and I just end up dying. So, I think that's what would have happened. Leona just engages on me as I walk straight at her, but Kaisa is completely no follow-up, so she ends up taking a pretty bad trade, and is getting really low. However, Milio is taking a really bad trade as well, and I'm now just trading back onto Kaisa. I'm not sure where these Leona E's are going. There's some random Leona E's flying to Narnia. But here I'm just basically just trying to blast them down, maintaining my lethal tempo stacks as well, getting a very good chunk onto Kaisa. However, Xin Zhao shows up, and now it's time where we run. Leona actually hex flashes forward, I believe, and is not, of course, able to catch us, thankfully. But yeah, Leona just recalls right in the middle, and the reason I'm not going anywhere near her or trying to stop her is I'm thinking that it's a bait, right? I'm thinking that maybe Xin Zhao and Kaisa are hiding in the bush. Milio is about to walk in right here, but turns out she was literally just recalling there for some reason, right? So I thought it was a bait and I wasn't gonna fall for it, but turns out it was not a bait. It was just a blatant recall on the spot. Either way, we're doing really well. You can see that in the bot lane because I got the initial kill, as did Leona. Me and Leona have like comparable goal, whereas Kaisa does have a little bit more gold than Milio, of course, but less gold than myself. Of course, this is rapidly changing as they are farming the minions here, and we have yet to farm the wave that's incoming towards us, so that is going to change the gold situation quite a bit, but essentially we do have a small lead here. Leona unfortunately whiffs the engage, gets denied by Milio. Milio is taking a ton of damage from Kaisa. However, Gragas is now coming in, and gets... I was gonna say he gets the E flash, but he really doesn't. He tries to E flash, but doesn't get it. But is able to just auto attack the Kaisa once and kill her. So yeah, a little bit awkward there, failing the E flash. I don't know how you even do that. I'm not sure how the E flash didn't hit, to be very honest. I'm not sure if it's the lack of skill or it's just the game. Like, I think it's like the game. Like, I thought that was gonna hit for sure, but it just didn't. And either way, we're gonna now recall. We're gonna pick up our Vamp Scepter and we can just head back to the lane, so we get another assist, and you know the gap kind of widens. Kaisa obviously going for the Terminus Rush standard Kaisa build. And now we're headed back to the lane once again to continue on farming. Now, I also say this very often in my Zeri videos, but I think Zeri is a very decent laner in a sense that she's middle of the pack, right? She doesn't really get bullied very hard. She can bully a little bit with her Q depending on the matchup, and she generally is just fine in lane. So I think Zeri is kind of just okay champion to play in like basically like any game, and depending on whether you actually like Zeri or not. I'm in the camp that I do enjoy playing Zeri, so I do pick Zeri relatively often, you know, when the opportunity arises. So you're just continuing to farm. Now, unfortunately, because of that, Leona has a little bit of prio as Xin Zhao is getting into a fight. Unfortunately, Xin Zhao already kills Gragas, and now it's a really awkward situation where we're now in a 2v3, and unfortunately my finger slipped here, and Cam just got out of the way. But here, obviously Xin Zhao is going to easily just kill me 1v1, and then kill the Milio as well. However, the rest of our team is kind of rotating to clean up the fight. Diana gets a kill onto the Kaisa. Darius gets the kill onto Xin Zhao and the shutdown as well, but randomly outs the Victor that he has no stacks on. And but he is gonna slowly run down the Victor. Victor can do nothing about it. Gets the double kill. So in the grand scheme of things, it's just like a 3-for-3 trade in the grand scheme of things, really. So I guess you could say it's kind of even. Although I was one of the people traded, so obviously I'm not on the best side of that. But yeah, the enemy team, you can see that it's really just Xin Zhao, who's like 4-1 now, who's doing really well. The rest of his team is just kind of alright. Like, Kaisa even has less gold than Leona. Leona has 300 gold up on the Kaisa, even with Kaisa farming all of these waves, which is a really tough spot, and Victor is like less gold than Kaisa, which yeah. And then Tryndamere is less gold than Victor, so the enemy team is really not doing too hot aside from the Xin Zhao. But you know, a good jungler can sometimes be all the difference in a team, like shutting down people on the enemy team, and you know, things like that. So you never know what's gonna change. So here, Leona is looking for an engage onto us. However, I'm kiting her out decently well. Darius, not Darius. Xin Zhao is coming. However, he ends up becoming a victim to the Gragas, and then I become a victim to the Xin Zhao, and then Milio is gonna be the next target, and basically the gang goes awry because Victor was on his way down and Xin Zhao was in tow. So what we thought would be a 3v2 ended up being a 4v3. And we do end up getting smacked around by the enemy team and cop another death. So that's not too hot. And now at this point, now I have less gold than the Kaisa and I'm not in a good spot. I just picked up 2 really quick deaths, you know, in quick succession. And that is going to do a huge hit to your economy. Because obviously you are missing out on farm. You're missing out on, you know, a lot of just gold on the map. And here they're even trying to take down our tower, which is really unfortunate. Now here, the plates are going to fall in 10 seconds. So here, we are actually, with the help of Darius, we actually are able to escort the mimics in and pick up the plating goal. Which, without Darius there, we would not have been able to do. So Darius with a huge assist there to us, and is able to let us to prop all of our mimics there. And because the enemy team reset, we can even just get their tower. So sudden, huge injection of gold into our side, which is of course amazing. And now, I'm not sure if trying to catch Xin Zhao is a necessarily good idea, but we do it anyway. Xin Zhao is now just running down the Milio, and I believe without the help of Darius, I would have been able to get the kill anyways. But here I'm just helping out Darius just a little bit, but he's just running all of them down and using the ult to kind of just finish all of them off. And I'm just there to get the assist, and he picks up a triple. He's 8-0 now at this point. Oh, actually, I remember this game. I played this game like a few days ago. I don't always record the games, you know, as immediately after I play them, but in this game, I was duo with the Milio, right? And then Diana and Darius were duo as well. So we had 2 duos on our team, which likely means there's 2 duos on any team as well. But Diana just at this point in the game around here just starts flaming me, and she just starts saying that I'm completely useless, and then she starts ordering Milio to only buff either her or Darius, who, to be fair, Darius is 8-0, and she is Diana is doing pretty alright with 2 full items at this current moment, and just picked up a double kill as I was mentioning that. However, one of the issues of that is that Milio doesn't really benefit Darius all that much. Like the W on Milio doesn't really benefit Darius at all, pretty much. Of course, the E does of course help, as does the ult. But essentially, it's kind of a situation where some supports, like not some supports, but Milio in particular is just a champion that's very hard to buff Darius. Like if it was like Yuumi or Lulu, like I think Yuumi and Lulu can buff Darius really well. But Milio just can't, right? Like Milio W is useless to nearly the entire team aside from me, because Milio W does nothing for melee champions, right? Like they don't like the extra range that melee champions get is almost negligible. Right, so essentially Milio is kind of forced to buff a ranged champion, and the only ranged champion on my team is me. So Milio has really no choice but to really buff me, right? Because like buffing Darius is just such a waste. So regardless, I'm just trying to make the best of the Milio buff, and furthermore, I don't quite care about what Diana's opinion of me is, because it's just another guy in solo queue, right? Like who really cares? Speaking of which, Diana is now just getting dogpiled on by the enemy team, and nothing much we can really do to help her, as is Darius, and Darius ends up giving the shutdown over to Victor, who gets his first kill of the game at this point. A huge kill though, gives him like over 1,000 gold. However, Victor is still kind of out of the match at the moment. Even with that extra 1,000 gold, he barely has more gold than Milio, which is a certainly tragic situation if you are, you know, an enemy carry. Next dragon is now up, and I really think this is a horrible idea. I don't know why we're doing dragon when 2 people are dead, but that's why I'm over the wall, right? If they insist on doing it, I'm gonna be over the wall. I'm not gonna be in the pit where I'm in a huge amount of danger. Now, Milio, unfortunately, you can see is buffing the Gragas here, and it's not very helpful. So here I spot a low HP Kaisa. I'm going for the Kaisa, but she heals up and shields up so much that eventually, I do end up just dying as well. And she survives for an extra couple seconds that I didn't think she would. So pretty unfortunate situation there. So in the end, I just end up trading, which is not really what I wanted. Of course, I just wanted to really just back off and not fight the Dragon. I wanted to take that bot wave, which now instead goes to Diana. Instead. So a little bit irritated that I don't actually get the bot wave, and instead we just end up all dying at the Dragon, which is pretty pointless. But here is a pretty funny one. Diana ends up. I wouldn't even say Diana outplayed the Xin Zhao as much as Xin Zhao kind of outplayed himself, because he like altered and mistimed the Diana stasis completely. And then he decided to walk straight toward the Diana right next to her, where Diana's 3 balls are gonna hit him and give her a shield, and then he's just gonna die to tower. So I mean Xin Zhao just outplayed himself right there, to be very honest. He killed himself. So Diana picks up the kill onto him. And in the meanwhile, I'm finally trying to get some farm from from the Krugs, from the waves, and that's just trying to find some farm. Really need to get to my RIFTMAKER, 3rd item, so that I'm actually useful. Of course, most ADCs do spike on 3 items. It's really where you really get your damage down in the game. Of course, at this point with 2 items, I still do a decent amount of damage. But you know, of course, the RIFTMAKER is the linchpin of this build, so we really want to get that one. And here Xin Zhao just randomly goes in on Gragas, even though he has no idea who's behind. But yeah, here Gragas is able to escape, no big issue. I'm just getting a free auto there with an extra Milio range, because Leona cannot reach me with any of her abilities, and I can just get a free auto. So why not? And here just farming the mid wave, nothing too much happening. Gragas gets a huge bonk down onto the what's his name, Tryndamere. And Tryndamere takes a big chunk. Now for some reason we're starting off Baron. And I really don't know why we're starting off Baron. It's really weird. But we're doing Baron. And I have no idea what I'm supposed to do, right? Do I go to the fight over here, or do I actually help with the Baron? So here I'm just going to the fight and saving my Darius, who's the most fit member. Victor out comes in, so I'm just gonna go over the wall and go for the Baron instead. And here Tryndamere is now in the Baron pit. He's trying to run interference. He's running down the Gragas, and he does run down the Gragas. Xin Zhao is now going onto the Baron, who's partially reset, but Xin Zhao decides to come over for the fight instead. Now here I'm autoing everyone. Now here I'm thinking that this is the time I can kill them, and no. They're both 1 HP, but none of them die. So this is highly unfortunate, and we don't survive. So what ends up happening here is, honestly, to no one's surprise, that Baron call was horrible. Same as the Dragon call. Like, why are we just randomly starting off Baron? And I really don't want to do it, but sometimes when your team commits to it, you just have to go, right? It's better to work together and make a bad decision than split up and make the right decisions sometimes, right? So better that we all just commit to trying to do the Baron, and really that I just walk away and my whole team dies and enemy team gets Baron anyway. But yeah, so here we have to now try to defend the enemy Baron. And yeah, so here we're really close to getting RIFTMAKER at this point. We just really need a little bit more gold. We're just trying to find it where we can. Of course, we're not going to do that by stealing the red buff, but we are going to take the red buff share. Here I'm just trying to blast down the minions, and surprisingly our mid lane tower is actually still up. So we're actually protecting our mid lane tier 1 tower at like 14-15 minutes into the game. I'm also just trying to just hit people basically from where I am, but just to remain safe. A fight is kind of breaking out here. Darius is just walking face first. I popped the ulti, but the main issue is that Xin Zhao is like the first target, and I can't damage him. So I'm really not doing very much in this particular fight at the moment. And the TX ult, I'm not sure what he's aiming at, but he's hitting nothing, which is pretty funny. And Victor is now trying to actually get kills. He now is actually getting gold, and he's 2-10. But he's only like 1k gold behind me, and he just one-shots the Gragas, which is pretty unfortunate. Now here, it's only me and Diana left, and we can't really defend these towers without putting our lives at risk. So we are gonna basically just have to give it. I just get a few autos in to just try to see what I can do, but we do have to give the inhibitor. And the last dragon is alive. Neither soul for neither team, so again, not very important of a objective to really contest. Considering the current situation we're in, where we're behind and the enemy team is in a better position. Victor Hex Gate's down, and I'm thinking he might come for me or might be going for the dragon, so I'm just a little bit cautious. Here I have enough gold for the Riftmaker, but I do see another wave coming, so I'm just trying to clear the wave so it doesn't push all the way to the inhibitor. And then now I can reset and pick up my very, very crucial Riftmaker. There we go, so now 3 full items with Emilio to buff me as well. Emilio also has Iron Sensor already, so it's going to help with my attack speed as well, and of course probably going to convert some of it to attack damage.
Enemy slain. Double kill. Enemy slain.
And here nothing much is happening, so I'm just going back to finding farm, which in this case comes in the form of the wolf camp. Now the wave is coming in, so now I'm going to switch over to farming the wave. And honestly at this point not too much is happening. We want to get our enchant, which is going to be QSS in this case, because QSS basically counters Leona's entire kit, which is what I'm partially afraid of. I say partially because Leona hasn't been engaging on me for the last like 10 minutes of the game, right? So it's not really happening, but if she ever comes to me, I'm definitely going to be in trouble, right? So best to pick up a QSS before that happens to ensure that I don't put myself in that position. Now here's the crucial point of the match, right? The Dragon coming up in 40 seconds, Baron coming up in 15 seconds, and this is where, you know, all of those fights are going to happen, right? It's going to be a fight at one of these objectives, and yeah, so here the pings are coming out for the Baron, which is obviously going to spawn first. So I take the Hex Gate, I'm going to dash my way to safety or relative safety, and a fight is indeed breaking out. However, it's just Tryndamere and Leona for now. Everyone on the enemy team is joining, and so as our team now, it looks like our team is not winning, so I'm just slowly trying to kite away. And now here I'm just free hitting at the moment, and here I'm just free hitting onto Xin Zhao as well. I flash forward, getting for the kills, and we actually get them. And thankfully, in this game, in this fight, sorry, we were actually just not focused, right? Like, in the sense that I was not focused by anyone on the enemy team, and because of that, I'm able to actually get the kills that I needed to get to turn the fight. So here, only Tryndamere is left alive, and he's coming through the Hex Gate, right? We can see that because of the ward I just placed down. Darius just waiting there, and we're gonna try to kill Tryndamere, but Tryndamere is just auto-attacking the Darius down to death. And eventually it becomes a 1-for-1 trade between Tryndamere and the Darius, leaving only myself as the only champion alive on the map. So here I'm starting out the Elder Dragon because I'm thinking Gragas will spawn before Xin Zhao, and he should be able to make it here before I'm done with it and just come over and smite. Of course, now we do have enemies spawning as well. We have the bot lane plus Victor now just spawning as the Xin Zhao. But as we can see, Gragas is now here, and I'm not sure what he's doing walking into the wall like that, but here we go. We are going to be able to secure the Elder Dragon, and I just want to get out. Oh, Gragas is flashing his way out. Enemy team doesn't want to overcommit though, because we do have Elder. Xin Zhao does do so, but he does have Phase Rush to run away, so he's fine. And I do end up ulting there, which I think I probably should not have committed my ulti, considering how there's probably going to be a fight at Baron as well. But here once again, I do my job of clearing the wave before I back, and now we can reset, you know, get items and go over to Baron. So here we have enough for the entire Mole Reminder, which is of course a pretty huge buy. And now we're gonna make our way over to Baron as a team with the Elder Dragon, you know, buff in hand. Not sure if Darius and Diana got the Elder Dragon buff or not though. And here, as I expected, the fight is breaking out. Rather, Tryndamere is just running in 1v5 to be more accurate. And Tryndamere dies to the Elder. So here we are, of course, just doing the Baron. Xin Zhao waiting over the wall. Could be a pretty dangerous one. But we do get the Baron without too much of incidents. And now with the Baron and the Elder, we can, of course, look to try to possibly end the game. So we're going to pick up this blue buff as we wait for the Baron to come down the lane, and Diana is getting off a split push, and enemy team looks like they are present to try to defend the Baron. Leona ulti comes in, but nothing really follows up. Clearing the wave, and now we're just slowly marching our way to victory. Should be a win if nothing, you know, unexpected happens. We get down the tower. Diana goes in. Here in goes the Tryndamere. We're just blasting him. Now just trying to kill Leona. There we go. We get a kill on Leona and also on the Tryndamere as well. And with that, we should be able to end the game. Xin Zhao now comes in as well. I'm trying to get the kill on the Xin Zhao before we end the game. But it didn't end up happening. And here we do get the eventual victory. So I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching, and goodbye.